Hi, my name is Selena. Welcome back to my channel. Today, I'm going to be talking about all the books that I want to read in January. I am super excited about the books that I have slated for my January TBR. It's kind of a big, ambitious month, but I'm still excited, so let's just get right into it and talk about what I plan to read. So the first book that I have put on my TBR, I'm starting with audiobooks first. The first audiobook that I want to get through is The Keeper of the Lost Cities by Shannon Messenger. I don't know too much about this. I do know that it has like a girl who I'm pretty sure she's part like elven or part fae or something, and so she's taken into the elven world and I don't know, adventures ensues. I know this is a very long middle grade series, and I know that it's a lot of people's favorite, so I would really like to experience it and see if I could love it as well. And it is one of the series that I said that I wanted to read in 2022, so I will link that video if you want to see the other series on that list. Then I have a short little novella that I hope to read the audiobook for in January. It is a anticipated kind of release. I didn't put in my anticipated releases video, which I will also link, because I don't know. I more read these out of tradition. I read them every time they come out, but I've stopped purchasing them because they're so hit or miss for me. And the book is Where the Drowned Girls Go by Shauna McGuire. This is the new Wayward Children series. I think it's book 7. And it returns back to the main-ish thread of the series. Basically, if you don't know, Wayward Children series is about, it's like a series of novellas about these kids who go to magical worlds and then they come back and have to cope with their real life. And so all the odd-numbered books are about the kids in our world once they are coping. Sometimes they go on quests. Sometimes there's murder mysteries happening at this like school. And in this novella, we see a character that we've seen previously in the other odd-numbered novellas go to another school and transfer because, I don't know, she doesn't like the way it's run at the school she's at. Like, I don't know. But I am not a huge fan of this character, but this character is from a water world, which means that I'm pretty sure when she opened her door and went to her world, she became a mermaid because it was completely like an underwater world. And so I am really fascinated with that. I hope we get to see her go to one. I'm gonna be really disappointed if it's just this other school. But yeah, I guess for better or worse, we will see if I like this newest installment in the Wayward Children series. The next book that I have chosen to read this month is The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet by Becky Chambers. I actually am going to be reading the Wayfarer series, hopefully if I like this book, back to back, like for 4 months. So you will see the sequels and subsequent TBRs. But I wanted to start the series this month. I meant to get to it last year, but it just never happened. And my library has the audiobooks. I'm really excited to get to this one. This is like a cozy sci-fi space opera thing. I don't really know about the plot because most people say it barely has one. And I don't know, we'll see. I haven't loved Becky Chambers' other book that I've read, the To Be Taught is Fortunate, but it's also a novella, so I don't know. There were things I liked about Becky Chambers' writing in it. I just didn't love that story. The next book I want to read is the first book in the Reindeer Chronicles series. I read the Reindeer Revelations in 2021, so I would love to read the first book in the Reindeer Chronicles series just to like get the prequel story to Reindeer Revelations and continue with Michael J. Sullivan's work roughly like in publication order. So the first book in that series is The Crown Tower. I think it follows Royce and Hadrian, which is like the duo you follow in Reindeer Revelations. I think it follows them when they are like, it's like when they meet. Like it's not even their first mission together. It's like when they meet, and like Reindeer, their like duo hasn't even formed yet. So that's exciting. And then the final audiobook that I have on my TBR so far, I'm going to pick one out of the mug at the end, but that final audiobook is The Blade Itself by Joe Abercrombie. So I chose to start the First Law series in January. I was going to start it later in the year, but I chose to start it in January because Leanna's Library and Beautifully Bookish Bethany are doing a read-along. And so if I just join, I can like, you know, participate in their live chats and stuff like that. So I'm just going to try and read it with them. And it spaces out the books a lot better than I had planned to. So on to the physical books that I have. I have a couple high fantasies slated, and then I will be picking one out of the fantasy mug at the end of the video. The first high fantasy that I have chosen to read is actually with the Farseer read-along that I'm doing on my Discord. You can join the Discord right now and join us with the Farseer read-along starting in January. My server voted to read the Farseer trilogy all together, and so that's what we're going to do. And in January, we're starting with Assassin's Apprentice. You will see Royal Assassin and Assassin's Quest on my February and March TBRs respectively. And if you want to join this read-along, please join the Discord and we will have a lot of fun. Then my boyfriend and I are starting a buddy read together of his favorite series, The Dark Tower. So I'm gonna be reading The Gunslinger in January. And because The Gunslinger is kind of short and boring, I picked another small book that I don't think will be boring to me to read kind of alongside it, and that is The Slow Regard of Silent Things by Patrick Rothfuss. I've been loving the Kingkiller series, and this is a novella in the Kingkiller world following a character who I absolutely adore, and so I'm super, super excited to give this one a try. This next book I wanted to read in December, but I never got to it, so I pushed it to January, and that is The Shadow of the Gods by John Gwynne. This is like, I know it's like Norse-inspired, like cold fantasy, so I would like to get to this in colder months where I live. So Shadow of the Gods is next on the January TBR. Then into the like sci-fi and like low fantasy category. On my Discord, my friend and I have a book club where we pick we pick buddy reads for ourselves and then open it up to the Discord for anyone who wants to join. And the book that we have picked to read in January is Dune. Dune by Frank Herbert. We wanted to see if we could really like Dune, so we're going to be reading it together, and we need each other to keep each other on task with this book because it is large. Yeah, we're gonna be reading Dune. So if you want to read Dune with us, join the Discord and it'll be on there. It'll be happening. Another book that you actually have the option to buddy read with me and another person on the Discord, The Girl in the Tower by Catherine Arden. This is the sequel to The Bear and the Nightingale, and me and someone else in the Discord read this in December because it was the like buddy read pick of December. It was like a one-off, and so we weren't gonna buddy read the rest of the series, but we both loved it. So I was like, let's buddy read it. And so we made channels. It's kind of informal. If you want to join, if you read The Bear and the Nightingale and you want to continue with the series with us, go ahead and join the Discord and you can do that, but no pressure. And then the final book that I have actually already picked and haven't, have slated on the TBR for certain is The Raven and the Reindeer by T. Kingfisher. So this is a wintry, like Snow Queen retelling, I know, and so I would like to read this in wintry months. And now, for the moments that I've been waiting for like a month and a half, now is finally the time for me to pick out my final fantasy and sci-fi reads from these mugs that I have. I introduced the mugs and all the options in them in my last video, which is like a channel announcements video, which I will link, and I am really excited. This was a way for me to add variety on my TBR and like spontaneity kind of, and so I'm gonna pick out some of my most anticipated books from these mugs so that you can see me add books on my TBR in real time. Let's see, should I start with sci-fi or should I start with fantasy? Let's start with fantasy. So the first fantasy that I need, I want to get a low fantasy. This is the fantasy mug. I want to get like a low fantasy that is also an audiobook. So I don't want a huge high fantasy. I want like a YA. And when I say low, I don't mean bad. I mean like it either takes place in a world that is like ours, or it's like a portal fantasy, or it's like something that feels more low commitment to me. That's kind of how I'm using the word low fantasy, even though that's not the real definition. Like it usually means like it takes place in our world with magical aspects, and there's plenty of those in here, but there's also portal fantasy, there's also fantasy romance, there's also YA, and it's just because all of these are like quicker fantasy for me to read, like easier for me to read, and so I put them in different sections of my TBR. And this time I have 2 large high fantasies on my audiobook TBR. So I want a nice, chill, shorter, low fantasy to pull from this mug. Okay. I have one that is a low fantasy and also an audiobook. The 10,000 Doors of January by Alex E. Haro. I don't think you can see this. That was not dramatic. Okay, so my audiobook for the month that is going to be a low fantasy is 10,000 Doors of January. I'm super excited about that actually, because I just read A Spindle Splintered by Alex E. Haro. And so I wanted to read that. That's cool. I mean, I wanted to read them all, so. But I was not expecting to read an Alex E. Haro this soon after reading the first one, so cool. We'll see if she's an author for me or is just a one-off with Spindle Splintered. Why did I put the fantasy mug back? I need that for my high fantasy. This one's gonna be harder to find because this is full of low fantasy, not so full of high fantasy because there's only 6 in this whole thing. Ugh. Already I see none of them. Think I found one. Nope. Are you one? Yes. The Mask of Mirrors. So this is the one I picked out. The Mask of Mirrors. It's high fantasy. It's the first one that I came across. That's actually really funny. That's actually really cool. I was hoping to get one other one, but this one's good. I was really excited to read this in December, and I didn't get to, so I stuck it in there, and looks like I'll now read it in January. But now let's do the same thing with the sci-fi, and the sci-fi has a lot less things in it, and somehow it's like even harder to like. Okay, this one. This one is a physical book. It's not one that I have slated for myself to read on audio. The Light of Uncommon Stars by Rika Aoki. That is going to be really fun. I'm excited for that one. I can't tell you what this one's about. I just know it's like a cozy, sweet sci-fi. I think it has a fish on the cover. I don't know. Has LGBTQ plus rep. The synopsis was very confusing, but it's gotten a lot of rave reviews, so I'm excited about that. So the books added onto my TBR from picking out of the mugs were 10,000 Doors of January by Alex E. Haro. I already forget. Mask of Mirrors by M.A. Carrick. That's a long book. Oh my goodness. We're gonna be dealing with long books. And The Light of Uncommon Stars by Rika Aoki. I'm excited about all of these, so excited to have them on my TBR and excited to use those mugs for the first time. Thank you for tuning in to watch me talk about my TBR. And tell me what is on your January TBR. I just realized that 10,000 Doors of January is on my January TBR. Cool. Let me know if you have read any of these books, or if you want to. Let me know if you're joining the Discord and going to read anything like Farseer with me, and I will see you next time. Bye!